Hi, beautiful soul. It's Linda Gaia here. And I wanted to talk to you today about one of the centers in the human design chart. It is called the ego center, the heart center, or the will center. Depending on where you look, it has different names. And when you have an open ego, so in other words, it's white on your chart, there is a not self theme that can flow through your life. Anything that's white on a human design chart is essentially where we take in our conditioning from the world around us, from the Maya, from the matrix, from the homogenized world. And we take that in, and when we take it in, our mind goes to work telling us that there's something wrong with us and that it needs to fix this thing that's wrong with us. And so the not self theme of the open ego is this feeling, the sense of needing to prove yourself. And it's definitely linked to self-worth, like how worthy you feel as an individual. And anybody that has this open ego that I've connected with, they all have almost like low self-esteem or low self-worth, where they never feel like they're good enough. They never feel as if what they're doing out there in the world, what they're putting out in social media or in their relationships or whatever, there's always this element of, I could be better, I could do something better, I'm not as good as somebody else. And there's this definite theme of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy that plays out when you have this open center. And once you learn human design, it doesn't mean that you can come along at some point and color in and go, well, I've fixed that, I've sorted that out, it's all done. No, it doesn't work like that. The conditioning is never going to go away. That element of the energy of others around you having this influence on you where you're going to say, hey, I'm not good enough, it's never going to go away. The difference that comes in, the awareness that you create through human design, allows you to start to see allows you to start to see how the mind is making this a problem with you, a problem that it wants to fix. And when you can see that, you can actually just let it go. The voice or the mind's kind of program that it runs doesn't really stop. It's just that the voice becomes quieter and quieter, and you're able to see it more often. And instead of getting up to do something to fix yourself, you just stop, and you know that there's no point in doing that because there is nothing to be fixed, right? You are a beautiful, unique, amazing, freaking amazing human being. And so listening to the mind is just going to create suffering for you. When this voice of the mind plays out, what will often happen is it feels like it's on a loop. And you'll get this, you go to do something, maybe something you've done before, maybe it's something new, and there's this little voice that starts to niggle at you, that starts to erode your confidence. It starts to say things like, do you really think that you know enough to do this? Is anyone going to actually show up to listen to you? Who do you think you are to take these steps? And then the doubt will start coming in, where you're like, well, maybe I should postpone it. Maybe I need to learn a little bit more before I do this. Or maybe I need to ask somebody else who's more knowledgeable than me to do this. So this doubt starts coming in that erodes you. And essentially what can happen is this self-defeating behavior can occur. So in some people, maybe they look at themselves in the mirror and they don't see anything beautiful. They don't see anything worthy. They cannot look at themselves and see someone who is beautiful and amazing. They notice that their nose has a bump on it that's not quite right, or that they've got this zit that's appearing that they need to do something about. And maybe they start squeezing them, or maybe they become obsessed with hair and makeup and always putting on layers and layers of makeup because they can't actually see themselves without makeup, because without it they're not good enough. Who they are without makeup is not good enough. So all these behaviors that start to occur So it's essentially the mind saying, hey, you need to wear makeup, otherwise you're not beautiful enough, or you can't show up looking like that, or you need this or that or whatever. So it's always like these outside things that come in, without this I can't be good enough, right? And you can tell that this is unhealthy, right? It's definitely an unhealthy way to live, where you don't see yourself as being good enough. Now in Australia, if you've lived here, they have this thing here called the tall poppy syndrome, and I think it's one of the worst things they could have ever introduced here, because essentially it encourages people not to stand out, to not be unique, to not value and appreciate their uniqueness. Everyone needs to be the same. No one can stand out above anyone else. And from a social conditioning point of view, oh my goodness, this has got a massive impact. If you have an open will and you've lived in Australia and have the social conditioning, there is a lot of conditioning here that you need to decondition from, that you have to get rid of out of your cells, decondition, so that you can harmonize to your energy. So when I started talking about this open center, one of the things that I mentioned is this needing to prove yourself. So because you continuously feel like you're not good enough and that you're not worthy, this energy comes in your body, which is from the mind controlling you, right? That tells you, well, I better work harder than anyone else in this environment, because if I don't, I won't be good enough. I better stay here longer than anyone else. I better do more work. I better do X, Y, and Z to stand out enough that I can prove that I'm worthy to be here in this place. And one of my clients that I worked with, she shared with me that there's been times in her working career where she's not had any holidays for years and years and years, simply because she wanted to prove to everybody that she was the person for the job, that that she was available and that she could do whatever they needed to. And ultimately that leads to things where there's never space for you, because you're always trying to prove yourself to someone else. And long term, anything where we don't own who we are and we don't stand in our power leads to us not being healthy in some form or another. It can end up in illness or injury or all sorts of things where we don't stand in our energy. Now, there is a possibility as you jump into this journey of human design that you'll read these not self themes of the centers and think, well, maybe I identify with this part, but I don't really connect with that part. And what I found in the deconditioning process is that it's like these layers. You'll see a certain part of something and you'll start to notice it, you'll start to become more aware of it, and then over time it almost feels like you've got that piece handled. Like maybe not all the time, maybe there's certain people that come into your life that push your buttons more than others, but there's definitely this awareness that grows and this ability to not be controlled by the mind and stand in your power. And then what will happen is the next layer, the next piece of the deconditioning process will become aware to you. And I've never really thought of myself as someone who needs to prove something to anybody. Yes, I have done it in certain circumstances, but it definitely wasn't a layer that I identified with. And recently, I recently injured myself and I wasn't able to be physically active in the way that I normally enjoy. And then I went out kite surfing for the first time, and I was really trying to honor my energy and sit with, why am I doing this? Am I trying to prove anything? No, I'm not. I just want to be here. I'm just here to enjoy myself. This is what my energy loves to do, and I'm just going to be here for myself. And even though I'm still recovering, like I'm not 100% healed, I was out on the water just cruising along, and I started to notice this interesting behavior that was occurring, and it was so programmed into me. It was totally subconscious. It was just happening without me being consciously aware of it. And this is the thing about conditioning, is that it can be so deep that you don't even know that you do it, right? So I'm busy riding along, riding my kite, and someone else is riding towards me, and suddenly my body would start moving and trying to do something like cool, and to make, you know, this, I need to prove why I'm here, and that I'm worthy of being out here, that, you know, I'm healed enough to be out here, and I'm gonna prove this to everybody that that you know, I'm validated for being here. And it happened once or twice, and then I was like, hang on a second, there's definitely this energy of needing to prove yourself. What is going on here? And so I chose to just become aware, to become an observer, to see how this program was running. And sure enough, every time someone came past me, my body would want to jump into action and do something to prove my worthiness. And it hit me like this big slap in the face. Oh my goodness, I do actually try to prove myself way more than I ever thought that I did. I had no awareness that this needing to prove myself was so ingrained in me. And so now it's a new journey for me, right? It's a new part of my deconditioning process of this open ego to go, okay, this feeling of not feeling worthy, I definitely feel like I'm more aware of that. But the proving part, that was a new awareness that I needed to attain. And, you know, this has taken me probably a year to actually realize that it's going on. And what you'll find with these open centers and this conditioning, it runs so deep that you can lie to yourself, because your program, the program that you're running on, is so conditioned that you don't even know it's there. So you're almost lying to yourself that you don't do something or that you don't behave in a certain way. So I'm really implore you in your deconditioning process to become aware of what's going on in your day-to-day world and how your mind is running the program. And as soon as you have that awareness, the deconditioning can start, where you can truly let go of that conditioning that's been probably in your field since you were really young, and truly start aligning to the frequency of who you are. Because I can already feel for myself, and even though I'm only having glimpses of it, that when I stand in my own energy and I see the conditioning for it, what it is, but I'm not moved by it, my life, the flow of my life is amazing. And it's something that I would love to share with everybody if I could, because it really is amazing to experience living as yourself and truly standing in your power. So that's a little bit more about the open ego, will, or heart center, and how the not self functions, the needing to prove. Am I still trying to prove myself is the question that is posed here. And I really encourage you, if you have an open center, or even if you have somebody in your life that has that, just start becoming aware of their conditioning and the program that's running, that will get them to take actions and do things and have certain behaviors which actually are not helpful, are not healthy, and actually pull them down even further into the space. And when we can become free from the conditioning, i.e. see it and not be moved by it, life's pretty cool. So if you want to know any more about this, or you'd love to jump into the beginning of your human design journey, or have a session with me where I can kind of tune into your energy field, see what's going on for you, help you to see that for yourself, so that you can start really living as yourself and living the life that you were designed to live. This is the biggest gift that I've received and that I would love to share with you. My name's Linda Gaia, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. I look forward to connecting with you if and when it's correct. You know where to find me. Bye.